All right, welcome to another episode of Bar Talks. I'm here with Chanel Adams at the Bamboo Bar, the legendary Bamboo Bar at the Mandarin Oriental in Thailand, Bangkok. Now, your official title is the bar manager of the Bamboo Bar.
Correct.
Plus, you are the brand ambassador?
Bar ambassador.
Bar ambassador for the Mandarin Oriental. I know you as Tattoo La Boo Boo Lady.
Yes, facts.
And I always forget what you studied, where you're from, who your family is, and I ask you every single time, even days later when you've already told me. So
I am Bolivian and Black. I am from Washington, D.C. originally. I am currently the bar manager of the Bamboo Bar, and I'm the bar ambassador for the group. So I help with new projects. I help do events for things like 50 Best or anything large scale that they would kind of need for the group.
There's many angles that I wanted to go with today. One of them is the fact that for me personally, this going into Asia is like I'm new here, so to speak, right? I've only traveled here a couple of times. I've met you in most of my travels here, but you've been in the Asian scene for quite some time, right? You've been here for how long?
I think 9.5 years now.
That's a significant portion of your life at this point. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding between East and West. There's always this discussion, right, about Eastern bartending, Western bartending. We are little fanboys and fangirls of like Japanese bartending always, but most of the world lives here. Most of the world doesn't know anything what's really going on here. So why did you come to I don't hear a lot of American bartenders making the trip over to Asia, right? Because tips are great.
Yeah.
So for you, why did you come here? Like, what was the driving factor?
It was a number of things. First of all, I turned 26 in America, 25, 26, and you're no longer on your family's health insurance. So I immediately panicked. This was step one. And I looked around the States to see who else would offer health insurance, because at the time I was working for Jose Andres and his group offers health insurance for everyone. And then I realized that pretty much no one other than Alinea will give you health insurance if you're not in a hotel. And so I started looking outside of the States. I was actually considering maybe Peru, just because I was obsessed with the food culture. I wanted to see all of the exotic fruits and everything. And Asia, mainly Hong Kong. When I was in college, I studied abroad in Spain, Hong Kong, and Japan.
Oh, wow.
And when I left Hong Kong, I've always traveled. I grew up traveling. And it was the first time I cried on my way home. It was really emotional for me to leave. I was supposed to be there for 6 weeks for an education program at HKU. And I stayed an extra 3 weeks and started school late because I liked it so much. And so I always knew if I was just going to leave one day, it would be Hong Kong.
That's cool.
So then the time came, my boss was getting sued by the next president. They wanted me to, Trump was suing Jose, so it was a weird time. They also wanted me to move into the office potentially to just help create drinks for the new openings. And I was too young. I was 26 years old. I was I've been bartending for 2 years. I was very good at R&D, but that didn't mean that I wanted to work in a lab. So I was looking around, and at the time, Hong Kong kind of made sense. A distributor helped. Actually, Simon Ford recommended me, having never met me, to Proof & Co. in Hong Kong, and they basically connected me with my first job.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Last week you mentioned that you're a third culture baby.
Third culture kid. It's a term. It's an actual term.
So what is that? Because that was my first time hearing it.
So it's someone who's grown up out of their native culture. So for example, if I grew up, let's say more Bolivian, but in DC, then I would be very close to my Bolivian culture, heritage, raised within that, maybe being Catholic, maybe the customs and rituals, and then that would be my identity. Or being African American, I would also kind of find an identity path that way. But I was raised in the middle, and my mom was raised in Germany. So and I was raised mainly with my mom's side of the family. I went to private schools. I traveled my entire upbringing. So I never really landed within a specific culture. If anything, I was actually more comfortable with Asian cultures because the areas I grew up in were mainly Korean, Vietnamese, and Chinese.
Okay.
So I never really, I would go home and eat bulgogi as much as I would go home and eat salteñas.
Do you see any pros and cons of that in your life, or?
It's why I'm so successful, I think, overall in working with a brand like Mandarin Oriental, because I don't have any connection. When I make a drink, I don't really have any connection to anything in particular other than classic cocktails. Or understanding basic structure of creativity or understanding techniques. Outside of those specific frames, I don't really have a frame. I'm not closer to I don't know, a peach or something because I'm from America than I am lotus fruit.
You're like Italians are Campari has to go into everything.
And I literally don't use Campari on my menu, so edit that. So the point is
Symphony.
Love you.
All over the world, everyone's getting really proud of their identity, right? Like there's this whole, like Mexicans, they're like, oh, it's all local ingredients, all ancestral ingredients. And that's happening everywhere. I think a lot of it comes from like the sustainability thing and terroir. In a weird way, you're almost like the other spectrum of that in some way, you know what I mean? Because you don't have a connection. So I believe that this is cool as fuck. I can say that. What I mean is that when everyone seems to be hyper-focusing on their culture in their place in that moment, while I love all of that, at the same time, it seems like you can't do that because it would be almost fake to do that, right? To hyper-focus on a thing that you might not have any connection with.
It's the opposite,
But
actually.
it frees you.
It's the opposite.
Okay.
Because I don't have a connection, I don't connect it to myself. I only care about their connection.
Right.
That's why it's actually it's like the opposite of fusion, right? Because like fusion means you connect your culture to the other culture. I'm not doing that. I'm doing the opposite. I want to understand their culture first. Usually I talk to chefs, I like go to markets, or like I literally will have like Thai people explain how they eat something, why they eat something. For example, in Thailand, like why they do, I don't know, like vinegar on their fruit, like for preservation and also just for flavor. Like there's so many like things that people do culturally because of a reason. And so I try to understand that reason.
Doing that, it means like you're kind of respecting a lot of the local culture by doing that. But weirdly enough, where's the fine line between, like in the US discussion, there's like cultural appropriation versus cultural representation or cultural, I don't know, there's a word for it, right? I think it's like appreciation.
Yeah.
There's cultural appropriation, there's cultural appreciation. Is that a discussion in a place like Thailand, or are they just super happy to see somebody into their stuff?
I think it's neither. I don't try to focus it necessarily on the culture. I try to focus on ingredients. I think that that's an easier way. And then I can describe how the culture relies on the ingredient or uses the ingredient or interprets the ingredient rather than being like, this is Thai culture. Because it's not my culture, it's not my story to tell.
For you as someone who's come in here into the scene, right, in Hong Kong and Thailand, and to be honest, I would say you're a vet, right?
Yeah.
You know, 10 years is a significant amount of time. So for you, what's going on over here? Because it seems to be on fire.
Yeah, it's quite cool to see how everything has progressed. So I think everything started with Singapore and Hong Kong. Maybe when I first moved, like Singapore was on fire. Hong Kong was following like shortly after. It was a period, I moved in 2017. So 2018, 2019 was a period where bartenders started getting investors and opening their own bars, like the Old Man, like Koa, and Quinnery had already been there for a long time. So it was interesting to see the shift in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong went from being like a party culture, like bottle service, black label and green tea kind of thing. And then they started doing super craft cocktails, like starting with Quinnery. They were doing like the hypermolecular aviary style cocktails.
The martini
they still
thing.
Are. The Earl Grey martini is by far the most famous, I think probably the most famous cocktail of Asia. And then it started just being different styles of cocktail bars. I think in Singapore and Hong Kong, there's a much bigger respect because there's a bigger connection to the West with classics. So in Hong Kong more recently, a lot more, let's say, themed bars have come out. Just to do something different. But Thailand's very different. So Thailand they were never conquered by the West. There's never been a heavy Western presence. It's actually quite hard for Western people to get a long-term working visa for a number of reasons. There's just not that many jobs. So the influence has been very different. It's not Western influenced at all. So what that means for someone coming in, it means that the bars are not more interesting, but much more themed, much more ingredient focused, much more culture focused. They obviously try to showcase their own products as much as they can, products that come from Thailand, like Sato. So it's a much more interesting scene for people who are not, for Western people who maybe want to experience something completely new. Where someone like me comes in is I like to focus on classics. I think they're important, right? So something like Bamboo Bar becomes more of an institution that way because we actually try to make great classic cocktails and I come from PDT, right? So I still base my cocktails as much as I can on classics.
You mentioned Sato, which I tried for the first time only a week ago. For everyone else in the world, what is Sato?
It is basically Thailand's take on sake, like fundamentally. It's a fermented Thai rice beverage. So it's like sake. Honestly, it's Thai sake.
But I felt like it was more funky. Like I felt it was, maybe because I was trying a lot of stuff in that place, Independence, which I guess has much more independent small brands, because it felt to me like it was almost like the Jamaican rum of rice stuff. Yeah. There was a lot of tropical and like really weird flavors going on that I have not tried in sake before. Because I think sake is boring as shit. Like it's the most like bland.
Not necessarily.
It's like missionary. It's just so
kind of.
it's like, all right, oh, this is 100 euros, this is 20 euros.
Yeah. To be honest, the sato that I use in the hotel is very clean. It's almost more like sake. I had never tried sato similar to what you tried until I was with you, quite honestly. Everything else I've tried has been very clean.
Okay. Sato. There you go. It's a rice thing. So you've mentioned multiple times Bamboo Bar, which is where we're sitting right now. It is historical. Well, I don't think I'm qualified to tell. I'd always heard about Bamboo Bar is the supposedly, again, I'm being the idiot here. I love being the idiot in the room. I love being the idiot. But I do, because I feel like it's this moment where when you approach things as a child, you ask the questions that might seem dumb, but you get better answers, so to speak. So I'd always heard of Bamboo Bar as, oh, there's this very famous bar in the Mandarin Oriental in Bangkok. It's important. I'm like, why? They're like, it is.
Yeah.
So why is it important?
It is Thailand's first jazz bar. 72 years old, and it was one of the first bars, I guess the first bar in general, to really focus on cocktails. It just has like a very long heritage as a result. It was renovated 10 years ago, which is why it looks like this now. It actually looks older now than it did before, ironically. But it just became an institution. It's where like Thai bartending started to focus within this hotel. Became kind of a replica for the Thai scene in general. Like you'll notice that there's other bars that are very, very, very similar to Bamboo Bar in terms of style, and it started to set the tone for jazz in Thailand in general. So you'll see a lot of jazz bars across Bangkok now, or just in general across Thailand.
Considering we mentioned that it was really hard to get in as a Westerner, this was kind of like the first place then, right?
This was one of the first places, especially because of the music. Like this is somewhere where like the most famous kind of artists came to try to perform jazz, at least one song. Even apparently Guns N' Roses came before I joined, and like Axl wanted to sing one song here just because it's like that historic for musicians.
That's crazy. What are some of the quirks of the bar? Because if it's 76 years old, you must have some stories.
I think like Billy Idol sang here before, and apparently, like you can Google this, he like racked up like one of the like a $250,000 bill, and then had to get tranquilized and carried out of the Mandarin by the army.
Censorship? What do we say about that? Can we believe that in?
It's Googleable.
Are we allowed to say that?
It's on ChatGPT. It's on ChatGPT. That's the only reason I know this.
Back to you.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only story I can tell. Everything else is on ChatGPT.
So Bamboo 73, 76?
72 right now.
72 years old. But the hotel itself is more than 150?
It's turning 150 next year.
And it's been continuously open, the whole shebang?
I think there was like a short period where they had to close for renovations, like maybe like 80 years ago or something. It was like before Jim Thompson. Yeah, so the hotel turns 150, so I have to do the 150th anniversary menu. There's a book called The Oriental based on the history of the Oriental Hotel, which is our hotel. And these stories are inside. So it's been quite interesting, I would say that way.
The hotel is almost 150 years old. The bar is almost 72 years old. It is essentially the shining beacon in this area. It's a cultural creator, right? It's almost like a...
Basically, when the East India trading companies came through, they would have to go through the Chao Phraya River, and they needed a place to stop. So before they would just like kind of dock on their boats and stay. Eventually, they were like, okay, we should build a hotel here. So they built the Oriental Hotel. At first, travel was it was more like sailors, so it was kind of like a cheaper hotel, let's say. And then as travel started to grow and become more common, especially for affluent people, this became a luxury hotel. This was the first like proper luxury hotel in Thailand. They built the street, Charing Krung Street, because of this hotel and because of other hotels that started to open along the water. And so this was the first luxury hotel in Thailand, properly. Wow. It was, and then for Mandarin Oriental, 61 years ago, it combined with the Mandarin Hotel in Hong Kong, owned by basically the Dutch version of the East India Trading Company, with the Oriental. And so it became Mandarin Oriental as a group.
That's cool. Now we are in 2025, and you've come and taken the reins. How was that?
That was interesting.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it was interesting. The difficulty was there, like, once Jamie Ryan left, there was still someone in between. There was still time in between, and that made it quite difficult because there wasn't a lot of progress in the bar in that time. So by the time I took over the bar, we had to basically rebuy everything and throw away. I like Marie Kondoed the place. Like it was always run by men before me. So
Those guys.
yeah. You guys love saving things.
You mentioned Jamie Ryan. So just for context for everybody watching, Jamie Ryan was the previous bar manager and more in the role that you end up taking over. And I guess he was the last captain of the ship that kind of made the ship famous to some extent.
Yeah.
And you took over afterwards after a small interlude. But it's just because not everyone knows random names. So Jamie Ryan used to be here, now he's somewhere else. Back to Chanel. It's not an easy bar to run, I feel. I feel like it's one thing when you get to open a concept in a 5-star hotel and you get to just make up whatever you want. But you have these certain baggage and limitations from the heritage of the venue to the fact that you have to run live jazz 6 days a week. Significantly affects everything, right? And how have you approached these challenges?
I think step by step, right? So with the music program, I'm very lucky. The pianist actually is the head of the music school, so he's quite well connected, and we've worked together quite well over the years, I think, in terms of recruiting singers. And the musicians tend to be from the music school, so that works out quite well. And that part was quite easy for me. I grew up in DC, so I grew up listening to jazz. So I think that came naturally. The difficulty was more the regular guests and knowing how to keep them happy while also trying to modernize the bar. For example, there's cocktails that have been created in Bamboo Bar, like the Tahito. It's like a Thai take on a it's basically a Thai mojito with lemongrass and ginger and mekong. It's like a Thai spirit.
Right.
And I remember someone ordered it from me the first time and they were shocked I didn't know what it was. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I've been here for 1 month. I don't know what a Tahito is, but I'm sure my team does. Let me go check, right? But they were so upset because I'm the bar manager of this historic place and I should absolutely know what this drink is. Not that there's a brief. So that was more difficult. Also just trying to understand what the demographic is, because the demographic is so broad. We have generations come back to take photos. The bar, literally I had my first year, especially in high season, everyone comes back yearly. And so I had maybe the 20-year-old son, the dad, and then the grandfather, all sharing a drink, the grandfather's favorite drink from years ago that hasn't been on a menu in 20 years, 30 years.
Jesus.
And it's quirky things, right? I have to keep specific glassware for people that are these massive martini glasses that I tried to throw away. My team was absolutely not having it and they stored it I don't know where, and thank God that they did, honestly.
So somebody needs that.
They will only drink out of that glass.
It's so funny how guests create these attachments to venues. And there's so few venues out there, I feel that are this old. It's almost is it my bar anymore? Am I in charge here? Or is the guests?
It's not your bar. This is not the type of bar that should feel like it belongs to a person. I think that's the first step that you take is this bar has its own history. This hotel has its own history. The question is, how do you add to the history to make it better in a way or more modern in a way without taking away what existed before? That's the balance that's actually quite difficult about running this venue, right? The infrastructure is not obviously for a high volume bar. We do on a very slow day 100 people, the slowest day 100 people, on a busy day on average 300 people. We can seat technically in the bar 50 people, but we can seat in high season we take the lobby, we have a cigar room, we take the smoking area, we can even seat people in our all day dining, and we can have 100 people at the same time. Things like that become more interesting because from a menu standpoint, I have to be able to create something that's very high volume with very little infrastructure, space, refrigeration, and find a way to make it work for the space, but also still keeping ingredients and specific glassware and things that would make this any specific guest happy within this hotel. So it's an interesting balance.
It's like a jack of all trades times 5.
Yeah, this is the hardest bar I've ever worked in. We can make more or less. The only thing I've ever said no to completely is pomegranate juice, specifically. Everything else I think I can find in this hotel.
What's your beef with pomegranate juice?
It's not a thing in Thailand. It's not a thing. It's expensive and no one uses it.
Is there a difference between these high VIP guests and the normal people that you used to serve before?
I think we have more information about the VIP guests, so it's easier for us to be able to tailor things for them. But I wouldn't say that serving them is that much different unless it has to do things with security, for example, them having to do a sweep of the space before, or having to have a security guard outside and one table that they can see. It's more of these type of logistical things. But generally, the more affluent or famous or politically famous the person is, the easier they are to handle. Because for them, this is their baseline, right? For you and me, we save up money, we go to a place like Bamboo Bar, we're splurging on our significant other, on ourselves. So we have super high expectations, right? Because we're not comfortable. We already feel uncomfortable being there, but We want this feeling of being impressed by luxury and feeling pampered. That's actually the harder thing to provide, not the baseline.
Right. I didn't think about it that way. Just feeling poor. No. No, but it's, you know what I mean.
It was a good answer, right? Political.
That was, and I carefully worded the question to make sure we're not talking about, but I feel people would want to.
No, it's a fair question.
The bar is a very democratic place, right? I feel like the old notion of no politics, no sports, no, no religion in a bar, even though people say that that's not true, and I agree with them, ironically, all those three things get discussed probably more in a bar
all the time
than considering the rule. However, I feel like, I guess this is just my opinion, I think like when you're a bartender, your point is not to express your opinion, is to keep the peace, so to speak. And I feel like in a bar is where people with two different opinions can voice their opinions, get kept in check by the bartender, and then walk away, hopefully, with more insight into the other person's, as opposed to just being like, no, fuck you, no, fuck you. It's easy to sit in an everyday place and be like, oh, luxury hotels, fuck those guys, you know what I mean? When in reality, it's just another bar, it's just the baseline's different, right?
No, but you're right. I think, so especially with hiring someone like me, right? Because I'm not necessarily the typical like luxury like person. Let's say I'm not Italian, I'm not a man, I wear socks. So please, actually I don't even care if you cut it.
She is wearing socks.
Confirm.
I'm wearing socks. She's wearing socks.
They brought me in intentionally, right? Because they need, the service from the team is going to be so perfect because Mandarin, I mean, we are known to have the best service in that respect. We have incredible training programs to make sure that service is as perfect and as polished as possible. But within that, you get lost in the luxury, right? Like you as a person don't feel like a person. You just feel like you're being pampered by someone and there's no connection. There's nothing to make you like loosen your tie. If anything, you feel like you need to tighten your tie because the service is so perfect. My job is to diffuse that. Like my job is to actually make it relaxed. If the person wants to just have banter, then we talk, we relax. I teach my team how to be a bit more relaxed with the service. And that's more so where I think luxury is going because people want the experience. They want the connection. They want the culture. They don't just want like a fancy Macallan bottle anymore. Like now, especially after COVID, initially after COVID, everyone wanted to like reconnect. They came to cities, they super connected. And then eventually they got sick of this connection. They all went to the island. And now they're coming back and realizing, okay, how do we connect again in a meaningful way? And I think that's where luxury is turning. And I think that's where we're trying to bridge the gap with people who are maybe not Italian and actually wear socks. But that's kind of where I think things are now going.
And that's great. I'm so glad you pivoted. My line of questioning was going to be going this way anyway, so I'm glad that we did this pivot. Considering you're not the typical look for what is representative of a Mandarin Oriental or a five-star place, you know, look, you're covered in tattoos. That's really not kind of a thing that was okay in five-star hotels when I was growing up as a bartender. I knew they all had tattoos, but they were all you know, cuffed up, buttoned up. It was all out of sight, out of mind. Have you faced any challenges looking the way you are? Have you faced any challenges, maybe not in the Mandarin, because we love Mandarin as a family, but I mean like generally in this space?
For me, it's been more interesting being American because there's not a lot of Americans in luxury, at least that I've met. Most people are European. They go to hotel schools. So not having gone to hotel school, not being European, and also being a woman, I think that that's been a more interesting kind of combination. I think being American, we tend to be problem solvers, so they tend to put us on like task force and things because we're very good at like admin and problem solving, and we have like big picture ideas. So I think that's helped me a lot, especially move up quite quickly within my career. I think that being a woman has helped me exponentially, also in Asia specifically.
Okay.
Just because there aren't that many women who are at the level of being a bar manager in general. I think especially in Hong Kong, I'll speak for Hong Kong, women tend to be better leaders. Women tend to have higher paying jobs. Women tend to be better educated. So especially within Hong Kong, it helped me to be a woman, I think. And looking different has always helped me. I mean, I can travel. Part of representing the group is traveling, and I'm very distinct. So people remember me. And that's helped me a lot in my career because even if I'm not the best at remembering them, I can remember the conversation, I can remember things about them, and they remember me, which is a bit more important, I think, long term for a career.
That's awesome because very often, you know, the things I hear from people, especially when it comes to the Western, let's just say, luxury space is dominated by a particular skin color and a particular gender. But to hear that this is more championed and appreciated limited and is actually an advantage is great, because sometimes walking into these spaces with all that can be very daunting for people, right? So I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I'm hoping that the women or the people from other ethnic groups that see this will see this as like empowering, to be like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go, as opposed to, no, because what I always hear is like, I'll never get into it. I shouldn't even try because the odds are stacked against me. If you're the only Latino in the group, you're automatically more interesting than every other.
It helps.
Everyone else,
The difficulty of getting into luxury hospitality is that you need an in. If you just try to cold apply, you're screwed. It will never work. And I think the point is, like, especially if you're Western thinking about moving to Asia, like, you must have a single connection point, and that person will make it so much easier for you to be able to enter a hotel, to be able to connect you with someone from a hotel. But hotel groups are starving for talent. Like, it is one of the hardest things, finding proper talent for hotel groups. A lot of it comes from maybe lack of education within the bar community from an administrative standpoint. For example, like with luxury hotels, you just have a lot of admin, a lot of trainings. But if you have that as your background already, like you've gone to school, you're comfortable doing Excel, weirdly comfortable doing Excel, at some point, that's really all personality, taste, everything else, like you can eventually learn and adopt, right, for whatever it is that you're doing. But the baseline, most people already kind of have.
Is there any like top tips that you would give to somebody who's hearing all this and going, okay, they're starving, I want to go, fuck, I don't have an in, I can brush up on, like, what are the top 2, top 3, top 4, whatever amount of tips you might have for people who want to make this transition possibly, or want to make this jump?
Number 1, be nice to your brand people and your distributor. They are the main way you will get a job. Even me, like when I had a previous job in Thailand and I was looking for something before I joined Mandarin, the first people I called were all brand people or distributors across Asia, across the world. They're going to have the best connection to someone here, especially in Asia. People ask these companies to consult or find them consultants for new openings. So it's quite easy for them to have an idea of jobs. Also, when I need to hire someone, the first people I tell, again, are brand people. Generally, they're going to have the connection that you need. Number 2, your CV. Have a very clear CV. In Asia, they require a photo. In Europe and America, they do not.
No.
So know where you're applying. The third would be like, you need to, if you really want to do something, just reach out to people. Like reach out to someone that you have even a mild connection with, and they can connect you to someone. In Asia, we really want more people from the West. Like, it's nice to see another American. I don't even know any other Americans in luxury right now, but I would love to see it, just to have some connection. So even if people reach out to me, like if a friend that you connected me, I would do the best I could to help, right? Or at least put them in the right path. So I think it's more about that. Like you need to find a way to connect. Otherwise, there's no chance.
Chanel is ready for your Instagram DMs.
Do not DM me.
For all of us who aren't in the sector, there's a lot of prejudices towards luxury, I feel like, and people who work in luxury. I'm not saying I have these prejudices, but I see a lot of people who have worked in pubs, clubs, or independent bars that are serving the general public. They're always like, oh, luxury people are snobs, or oh, it's easy for them, they have lots of money. All the cliches that we hear all the time. And yet, weirdly enough, having hung out with anyone who has veteran experience in luxury, they're probably actually happier and more fun than your chain-smoking 70 hours a week person serving natural wine going like, I'm doing it for the culture, like underpaid and overworked, right? You speak about training and leadership, right? And I think we lack a lot of that education in independent venues. For you, going into the Mandarin, what are some of the things that you've possibly learned or encountered, or has Mandarin changed you? Has there certain things that training you've done here that have opened up your eyes, or in any way, like things that we were like, oh, that's cool?
So in the Mandarin, there's different levels of training, right? There's like the general training for service team, and then there's a lot of management training. And at first, like you think that you have to take these classes and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to take a leadership course. I don't want to take a course on giving meetings, for example. But weirdly, these are the courses that are the most helpful. Like I had a course, one of the most helpful courses I've had in my career is how to lead a proper meeting.
Go.
It was like so. It was just I don't know. It was just so interesting. It's like
I've never heard this. So
yeah. It's like things. It's like how you initially like basically diffuse the room to make them relaxed. How you then point the conversation. Who takes minutes? Like how you take minutes. It was things like this that were like weirdly technical, but I would never have learned in college. I would never have learned in normal life. Like it's very specific.
That's cool.
Like how you give criticism to different cultures and feedback to different cultures.
All right. How did you? I'm European.
Oh God.
Give me criticize me. I didn't put down the glass the correct way. Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing.
It is.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Just sticking on the whole systems and trainings or whatever. You did mention that there's a very meticulous training program here for service. What does that look like? How many modules? How long does it take? Like, what's the jam, bruh?
There is an online training program that can vary from like fire trainings to security trainings to how to keep information confidential, like all of this type of everything. AI and what it means, how to use it. And then there's also just like regular service trainings because we have internal audits and we also have to be compliant to Forbes audits. So this means, for example, if a table leaves, you have X amount of time to clean it. If a drink gets ordered, you have X amount of time to run it. And the standards change almost yearly with both of these. Not with our internal ones, but like Forbes, for example, will change their trainings next year. So our standards have to adjust based on this.
So Forbes has
their own...
I thought Forbes is just a magazine.
It is, but it's also, they give star standards, right, for hotels. So specifically for hotels. So for hotel F&B, that means that we're also audited. So this can be the level of the type of coasters that we use in terms of luxury. This can be having to have napkins, having to have certain types of snacks, a certain number of wines by the glass available.
What's the weirdest Forbes rule for 5-star?
They're all pretty standard, to be honest. I think it's more the stuff that's personal that you judge, like cocktails. Like they always hate what my cocktails look like, but then we use them as the Mandarin standard for photos. Cocktails. It's one of my favorite
They don't
things.
like the way
they hate my cocktails. They're way too plain, apparently. I focus too much on glassware. I don't like dramatic garnishes.
Right.
So yeah, they're not fans of my cocktails. It's okay. I get over it.
I'll get over it.
Clearly over it.
Briefly about like what's happening in Asia, but like there's so many countries that are. It seems to be like everything's happening everywhere at once. Because the first time I came here, I was here for a week. There was no bar show or anything. There was like 12 events in 7 days. And even this time, it's December. I always think to myself, December means Christmas, means vacations, and yet. Again, first week I'm here, there's a guest shift or two
or something
every single day. But then we hear about Vietnam, we hear about stuff going on in Bali, China, big dog.
Yeah.
Right? You've been there a lot more than I have.
Yeah.
What's the fuck's going on there?
Honestly, China's my favorite market,
yeah?
For bars in the world. Like, obviously, China's huge, so it's hard to like limit this, but it's been interesting, right? Like, it's its own bubble. Or it's been its own bubble for so many years, for visa issues, for COVID, for whatever. But within the bubble, so much grew because the production is insane, right? So in China, if you want to open a bar and you see the specific glass, you can take a photo of the glass and find someone to make it. So China actually has one of the best bar scenes because whatever they can conceptualize, they can actually act on. It's incredible, right? So you can find any product, you can find more or less anything.
Is the world ready for China?
There's no better hosts in the world. I'll even include myself in that. There's no better hosts in the world. When you get there, it's so easy. Like you use WeChat for everything, from booking taxis. If you have WeChat and Alipay, you can get around China by yourself without anything, like in the major cities at least. And every city is so different. If you go to like Chengdu, it's very relaxed. It's very like Tibet, chill, beautiful cafes, gorgeous shopping. But then you go to Shanghai and it feels like you're in Europe. Like the French area feels like you're in Europe, as you've seen.
Oh yeah, I will confirm that. That is definitely.
Like in Beijing, like you have like the old city that's like, it just feels kind of crazy. Like you feel like you're in a movie. But then you have the modern areas that are weirdly nice. Like
I feel like there is a Western arrogance towards Asia. And I mean like for the people that are still in the West.
Yes.
Right? I'm not talking about the people that have visited, I'm talking about the general community. I don't think anyone's really watching what's happening in Asia. Whereas when I speak to younger up-and-coming bartenders in Asia, they're more aware, I feel, of some of the famous bars in the West than we are of the other way around. Does that make sense?
Yes, true.
And having now visited China briefly and visited Bangkok a few times, I'm sitting there going, why the fuck do you care about the West? You're so much, in many ways, so much cooler over here. And I'm having this moment just now, like literally as we're speaking about what you're saying, I'm like, if Asia ever figures out that we're not as cool as them, and they stop caring about us, wow, what's the world gonna look like? Does that make sense? Is that an interesting thought? Like, what do you think?
I feel like, first of all, cocktails are American, so I feel like there always has to be a connection back to the West. At the end of the day, classic cocktails are mainly Western.
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Number two, most books came out, like any cocktail books came out from the West, so from the States, from Europe. And these books have been translated into other languages, whether it be Mandarin or even Vietnamese or Thai, right? So the only references that people have are looking online, so YouTube, looking at magazines online, something like Imbibe, and then obviously referencing cocktail books. And these cocktail books reference direct bars. I would assume that if you ask most people in Asia about bars in America, most of them are going to only name New York bars.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
For sure, they're only going to name New York. I don't think they know a single bar in LA. Like, maybe now I brought Thunderbolt, I hope they know, but like, you know, I don't think they know a single bar in LA. And so I think it's where the context is coming from. Also, at the end of the day, if you're into cocktails and you want to research the history, it means you end up researching bartenders and their cocktails, right? So you have a classic kind of frame of mind, or you have a frame of mind focused on classics. And that's only coming from the West. There's no Asian reference in that.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the reason I'm thinking this way is that I'm struggling with the new generation of European bartenders who haven't read all of that literature, who don't remember these people. They have no idea. And yet a lot of them have read all the modernist literature.
Yes.
So they know how to ferment something or milk punch something based on technique-driven literature, but they have no connection to the history. I'm just thinking, if that ever happens here, then that connection might possibly be lost. You know what I mean?
It's already happened. I mean, if you ask me about Thai bars, I would not say that there's a classic cocktail focus at all in Thailand, really, outside of hotel bars. Everything else is based on their own understanding of their own culture, wanting to highlight spirits from their culture, wanting to highlight food profiles from their culture. Technique is very big because it's something that you can like watch on YouTube. So there's no bearing on how to create from a Western standpoint, from a classic standpoint. So
do you think that's limiting?
Extremely. Extremely. I think you can't, creating in a vacuum is not creativity. The highest form of creativity is linking things. And so if you don't have any baseline to link, then you're just creating out of a vacuum. The other markets where I would mention are Vietnam. I think Vietnam for me is like the most up and coming market. I recently judged Diageo World Class in Vietnam last year. And I was shocked at the level of drinks, honestly. Like, I think it's just because of Vietnamese culture, like the style of cooking and the techniques they use in cooking translates so well to drinks.
Oh, yeah?
So it was actually one of the most interesting markets I've done. They're very eager, they're very up and coming. So I'm quite excited to see where that goes.
Do you think the drinking world is shifting over to Asia?
I think that it's starting to, for not the reasons you would expect, right? If we look at like job opportunities where you can actually make money around the world, especially as a foreigner, like Asia tends to be one of the best, right? In America, you're tip-based. If you're a foreigner, it's impossible for you to get a visa unless you're a manager. So America's kind of out. It's its own thing. With Europe, it's the same. Like you basically have almost the same salary as you would in Thailand, but 50% tax plus all the costs of living are insane, right? So looking at Asia as like a place of growth and of living and of quality of life, it is starting to pull some of the best talent from the West. And also the talent internally is growing exponentially. People are finally finding investors and they're finally finding financial backings to do their own types of bars in China and Hong Kong and in Thailand. Everywhere. And also the barrier to entry to open your own bar is much lower in pretty much everywhere but Singapore and Hong Kong.
All right, shout out some of the coolest bars you've been to.
I'll do country by country. Cat Bite Club, I think, for Singapore is one of my favorites in general. In Hong Kong, it will always be Koa for me, I think. In China, CMYK in Changsha is one of my favorite bars, I think, in the world. Hope and Sesame in Guangzhou, same. They're incredible what they're doing and how they've kind of helped change the Chinese bar scene and grow the Chinese bar scene. I will say Tiao Bar in Beijing. We finally opened an amazing bar for Mandarin. My gosh.
She's calling out her
I have to.
She's
so
bigging
cool.
up her.
It's so cool. Let's see. In Vietnam, the Enigma Mansion is incredible. It's in Ho Chi Minh City. Also, the Halflington in Hanoi is so cool. The Pai in Ho Chi Minh City also. I go to Vietnam a lot.
Would you ever go back to the West?
To live?
I don't know.
No.
Fuck them.
No, it's not that. I'm at the manager level and you don't make as much as you do getting tips. And I'm too old to not have health insurance. And I don't want to hurt my finger, not be able to work and not get paid. So America's out. Europe, I don't think I'd ever want to work in Europe.
Hmm.
Just want to like retire and drink wine. So I'm kind of stuck in Asia, I think, or Dubai. I would go to Dubai, I think, but I would rather stay in Asia.
What's the best thing about bartending?
The connection, honestly. I love the instant gratification. I love watching people take the first sip and they like relax finally, because they're always so uptight at first. And I love making people like loosen their tie, especially in these types of spaces and luxury spaces. I love watching where people literally like relax their shoulders. I think it was the best part for me.
What's the worst thing about bartending?
Like simple syrup all over things, I guess. I don't know. I don't like things sticky.
It's very practical, this one. Pradi, keep it
I want to see her
together.
reaction. I'm so sorry.
Pradi,
I can give
keep
a
it
real
together.
answer. I can give a real answer if you want, but that's really
Pradi
the
is
worst.
covered in simple syrup right now.
I mean, I hope that's
Two to
what that
one.
is.
Two to one. You can give a different answer,
Okay,
but that
fine,
one's
let me
still a good answer.
Okay,
I think it's a good
honest
answer.
I hate being sticky. It bothers me so much.
What's the worst thing about bartending? Being sticky.
It is.
I don't know what they do at the bamboo bar, guys. I don't know. Apparently, simple showers is a
But I don't
thing.
even use simple syrup.
She just hates being sticky.
I hate being sticky. It's so gross. My other answer would be bartending in a suit. It's terrible. I don't know why people do this. Like, you can't even like.
It's a walking contradiction here, guys. Hate being sticky in a suit covered in simple syrup.
Yeah, it's like
95 the humidity.
I'm like a big kid. I can't do it.
But I'm not going back to America, I'll tell you that.
No, God, no.
All right, we're out.
I tried. Okay, I tried. This is such a long.